Good morning, everybody, and welcome to this meeting of the Licensing Subcommittee. The first item on the agenda is the election of chairman. Do I have a proposal for the election of chairman this morning, please?
I'll propose you, if I may.
Thank you, Councillor Williams. Councillor Dow, are you happy with that proposal?
I'm happy with that proposal.
Lovely.
Seconded.
Super, thanks very much. Item 2 on this morning's agenda, apologies. To receive any apologies for absence from members, I think we're all here. Moving on then to item 3, declarations of interest. Do members on the committee this morning have any declarations of interest in regards with the business to be conducted?
I have none, thank you.
So, thank you, Councillor Williams. Thank you,
me.
Councillor Dower. Moving on then to item 4, the protocol for speaking at virtual meetings, the revised protocol for public speaking at formal virtual meetings of the Licensing Subcommittee when it's considering Licensing Act 2000 business is included with the agenda sheet for this meeting. Moving on then to item
Chairman.
5. Yes, sorry.
At this point, could I just sorry to interrupt you. Could I just briefly do a housekeeping notice for everyone present here? So
Yes, I was going to bring that before but
okay.
fine. Yes, thank you very much.
Shall I do that now?
Yes, thank you. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Please note that this meeting of the Licensing Subcommittee is being recorded by the Council for live broadcast and will be published on the Council website for a minimum of 6 months. In order to ensure the meeting is managed effectively, please could everyone present follow these ground rules for speaking. Only speak when invited to by the chair. Please state your name before you speak if you have not been introduced by name. Please ensure that you unmute yourself and always turn on the video function before speaking. Please mute your microphone when you are not talking. And after each party has made their representations, the chair will ask each person in turn if they have any questions or comments. However, if at any point you would like to speak again, please use the raise your hand function at the top of the right of the screen. And finally, please could you ensure that background noise is kept to a minimum and that mobile phones and other devices are turned off or switched to a silent setting for the duration of the meeting. Thank you, everyone.
Looks like Councillor Flagg is.
Yes, sorry, we may have to just adjourn the meeting for a moment to ensure Councillor Flagg is connected. Sorry, everybody. we're live.
Thank you, members. Thank you to members of the public who may or may not be watching this morning. Technical issues. Continue with item number 5 on this morning's agenda, which is an application for a new premises licence for Oktoberfest, Poole Park, Parkston Road, Poole, and it's been submitted by Events in Dorset Limited. This matter is now brought before the Licensing Subcommittee for determination. I will now ask each participant to introduce themselves and state their role. I'm Councillor Flagg. I'm the elected chair for this morning's meeting and a member of the subcommittee. Councillor Dower.
Hello, I'm Councillor Michelle Dower. I'm on the subcommittee and I'm the councillor for Kinston Ward.
Thank you, Councillor Dower. Councillor Williams.
Yes, I'm Lawrence Williams, councillor for Little Down and Iford and a member of the licensing board and this committee.
Thank you, Councillor Williams. The two reserves today are Councillor Harman and Councillor Keddy, and whilst they're not standard, they are in the on the meeting for training purposes, together with Councillor Chapman-Law and Councillor Richardson. Can I just state that none of the observers will participate in the hearing or any deliberations? Right, next on the list, Victoria Shepherd, please.
Chairman, sorry, can we just clarify the role of Councillor Harman on this committee meeting? Perhaps she could come in.
Right. I did have that later on in my statement. So Councillor Emily Harman has been requested to make a statement on behalf of one of the residents of Poole in objection to the application. So I will call on Councillor Emily Harman later on in the proceedings. Sorry, so can I go back to Victoria Shepherd, please? You're on mute.
Sorry, good morning.
Good
My
morning.
name is Victoria Shepherd. I am the designated premises supervisor for the proposed Oktoberfest.
Thank you, Victoria. Gary Benetton.
Good morning, panel. My name is Gary Benetton. I am one of the event organisers for this proposed event, and I do apologise. I've got a cold. I've woken in. The weather's been lovely, and I'm the only person in the UK waking up with a cold today. But there we go. Thank
you, Gary. There are no objectors. As mentioned, a statement will be read out by Councillor Emily Harman. Can I ask the officers please to introduce themselves? Tanya.
Good morning all, Tanya Jardine. I'm the licensing officer who dealt with the application.
Thank you, Tanya. Mary.
Mary Almeida. I'm legal advisor to the subcommittee today.
Thank you, Mary. And finally, last but not least, Claire.
Good morning. I'm Claire Johnston, the Democratic Services Officer clerking this committee meeting.
Thank you, Claire. Before I run through the procedure, please may I check that all persons who have given notice of their intention to speak have been identified, and I'm sure that's correct. Any person who wishes to withdraw a representation or indeed wishes not to speak has been identified. And if there are no comments, take that as being correct. Okay, moving on then. I will now explain the proposed procedure and order of speaking for the hearing as follows. The licensing officer presents the report. The applicant will make their application. Questions of the applicant by all parties, members of the committee, subcommittee to go first. Responsible for authorities and other persons.
Oh dear.
Oh dear.
Apologies, everyone. It looks like we've lost the chairman again. I will just adjourn the live stream for a moment.
Apologies, everyone. The gremlins this morning. To continue then, questions of responsible authorities and other persons, members of the committee, subcommittee to go first. All parties will be given an opportunity to sum up, with the party who spoke last to go first. The hearing will then conclude. The subcommittee will deliberate in private with legal advisor and the clerk present. Notification of the subcommittee's decision will be given within the period of 5 working days, beginning with the day or the last day on which the hearing was held, in accordance with the regulations. The notification of decision will include information about the right of appeal as appropriate. I will now ask all parties to confirm agreement on the proposed procedure or make representations. So, Victoria, are you happy with that procedure?
Yes, no problem.
Thank you. Gary?
Yes, no problem.
Thank you. Tanya?
Yes, thank you, no problem.
Thank you. And Mary? Have we lost Mary? Hi, Mary. You happy with the procedure?
Yes, sorry,
Lovely,
Teams seems
thank
to have
you.
got rid of me as well.
Thank you. Finally, please may I remind all parties speaking not to repeat the information which they have already given in writing, but to expand on their written representations. All questions are to be asked through the chair and there will be no cross-examination of parties. Can I now ask the licensing officer, Tanya, to present the report? Thank you, Tanya.
Thank you, Chair. So Events in Dorset Limited have applied for a premises licence to hold an Oktoberfest event at Poole Park on one weekend in September or October per calendar year. The application is to permit live music, recorded music, performance of a dance and supply of alcohol on the premises Friday 1700 to 2300 hours, Saturday 1200 to 2300 hours and Sunday 1200 to 2200 hours. The licensing office received 5 representations against the application, and this was from other persons on the grounds that granting the application would undermine the prevention of crime and disorder, public safety and public nuisance licensing objectives. As a result of the representations received, the applicants have made some amendments to the event to mitigate the impact on local residents. These proposals have been communicated to the persons who made representations in a letter that members would have had sight of in my report. But for clarity, I will list some of the main points. The applicants have agreed a reduction in the hours for licensable activities to cease at 2230 hours to allow for gradual dispersal up to approximately 2300 hours. A direct out-of-hours telephone number to the head of operations shall be provided to local residents and advertised on the site to report any noise nuisance. This has already been offered as a condition on the application, however, was reiterated in the letter. Although the application is requested for 3 consecutive days, the applicants advise that the events will initially be held on a Friday and Saturday only, and the Sunday has been applied for should there be sufficient demand and to avoid the need to apply for a variation. In addition, for 2023, the applicant has offered to remove the option for a 3rd day and for this to only come into force in 2024. The dates they are planning on the event being held this year, should the licence be granted, are the 29th and 30th of September. In addition, the applicant has addressed the concerns raised in the representations in relation to antisocial behaviour by confirming the implementation of a dispersal policy which forms part of the event management plan, and they have particularly made residents aware that dedicated patrols will be taking place outside the event throughout the duration, and trust that the high visibility presence of security staff will not only manage access and egress but also will serve as a deterrent to antisocial behaviour. We received no other representations from any of the other responsible authorities. However, I note that the event has been presented at a safety advisory group where responsible authorities have had the opportunity to scrutinise the event management plan and supporting documentation, and have advised they are content with what has been presented to them. For information only, an Oktoberfest event has previously been held at Poole Park in 2019 under a different operator, and this was under a premises license issued for a limited time period. And in addition, Poole Park do already have hold a premises license. It's held by BCP Borough of Poole, the authority previous to BCP Council, which permits regulated entertainment Monday to Sunday, 1000 to 2300, and late night refreshments Monday to Sunday, 2300 to 0000 hours. Members are now asked to consider whether to grant this application, and should the licence be granted and the applicants fail to operate in accordance with their licence and any conditions attached to it, they will be aware that any responsible authorities or other persons may request a review of the licence at any time. Thank you.
Thank you, Tanya. Do members have any questions for Tanya at all? Councillor Williams?
Yes, I find it strange that they're applying for a licence when there's already one in place. Why?
Because it's held by BCP Council for their own events. I just gave it as information just so that you are aware. So any events that are held at Poole Park, I think maybe under those, but it's only for regulated entertainment. It does not include alcohol within that licence.
Thanks for the clarity.
Thank you, Tanya. Councillor Dowd, officer at all?
Thank you. No, Tanya, I don't. Thank you, Councillor Flagg.
Thank you very much. Right, can I now ask the applicant to address the committee, please? Is that Victoria or Gary?
I'm quite happy to step in here. I know Vicky is on holiday in Turkey practicing belly routine. Thank
you, Gary. The floor is yours.
No problem. Thank you. So yeah, as Tanya kind of intimated, we've submitted an application for a premises license for Oktoberfest. To give you a bit of background about me, I've got a business in Bournemouth, which is a nightclub, and I started Oktoberfest back in 2017 in Southampton, and we've been doing them ever since. Obviously, with the exception of the year of COVID. I'm also on Southampton Licensing Link, which is effectively a town watch system. I'm vice chair for that. I'm also on the nighttime economy steering group, and I'm a bid director for Southampton as well. So I just wanted to give you a sort of background on my sort of credentials, if you like, if you don't know me. Victoria is obviously well versed in events in Bournemouth. So essentially, Oktoberfest is a Bavarian festival, very German orientated. I'm not going to try and describe an umpire band, but I don't know if you've seen one. It's effectively, it's very fun. The audience demographic is very wide. I think our oldest in 2022, our oldest attendee was 99. And obviously our youngest was 18, so it's a very, very broad cross section of people, and it's good fun. It's jovial. It's not all about beer. Everyone thinks it's about beer. It's not all about beer. There's a lot of food, different food varieties on offer based on Bavarian themes, whether it's schnitzels, bratwursts, pretzels, and yeah, surprisingly, the marketplace is moving in terms of the consumption of alcohol. Yes, people do drink beer, but there's also quite a good selection of what we call low and no, so no alcohol and low alcohol beverage, and that's actually becoming a trend if you look at the statistics. We've applied for the premises license, as you know, and there has been objections, and and I completely understand why. If I go through the concerns line by line, if you're happy for me to do that, the concerns are largely focused on noise nuisance. What we do have is a sound engineer on site at all times who is obviously will be working within the statutory guidelines, and obviously we've been through the SAG process already with the environmental health officers, and they're happy with what we've presented. There is a noise management plan in the event safety management plan. We've reduced the hours of operation by half an hour, actually, so the music will be off by 10:30. And as you know, as well as Tanya pointed out, we've actually removed the Sunday evening from the event this year, just so we can, just to demonstrate we want to work with the local community moving forward. There will be sound monitoring points to be agreed with the local authority. So throughout the event, we will be monitoring sound at different locations. So obviously that will be definitely at the sort of closest sensitive points, i.e. Some of the residents there. So we're confident we can manage that, and professionals will be doing that. As Tanya mentioned, we will have the contact details available. I'm quite happy to put my number forward for that, because I'll be on site throughout the duration, as will Vicky. There was on antisocial behaviour. Some of the existing problems, obviously, we can't comment on because we haven't been there yet. There's no intention, of course, for us to add to any existing problems. That's not our intention. And I think having SIA on site at the time may actually reduce what's currently there, given there will be a high presence with high vis. We'll have a dispersal policy in place. They'll be wearing high vis jackets. So I think, if anything, it may actually be slightly better. There was concerns about the focus on beer, as I highlighted previously. It's not all about beer. There's German culture, there's food, there's a range of low and no alcoholic beverages available. We will run a Challenge 25 policy, which is the standard sort of venue entry policy that's in place. Obviously, no children will be allowed on site. We won't be serving to intoxicated people. There'll be training in place before we open the venue. There would also be welfare on site as well, so there'll be a medical team as well for people that do maybe get carried away or fall off a table. That's what normally happens in terms of helping them medically. There was some traffic concerns, and I can completely understand that. We have employed a professional traffic management company. This is what they do. This is Bradson's is the company we've appointed. There's good bus and train and taxi connections. We will, of course, advise all customers on ticket purchase. Once they buy a ticket, we'll effectively capture their data, and we'll do a lot of mailed stuff, so they're aware of all the routes in. There's good parking facilities within walking distance, which obviously we will highlight as well, whether it's at the Dolphin Centre, etc. Litter, there was concerns with regard to litter. Obviously, in terms of drinking vessels, none will be allowed off the site. That's a given. We're going to use biodegradable, sustainable, consumable goods as always. The dispersal policy will also mitigate that as well. So we've got security. So if anything's about, and in the event of any litter as a result of our event, obviously we'll be clear. Our statutory duty is to give back the park as we found it. So obviously we'll be taking care of that as well. As we've said earlier, we've made some concessions already in response to the objections that were received. We've reduced the hours of operation. We've moved the Sunday. We've introduced the traffic management plan. We have an enhanced dispersal plan. We have a traffic management plan in place, a noise management plan. And, I think in reassurance to the the letters of objection. We've obviously been through a SAG process to deal with many of these problems anyway, and this, you know, the local authorities are happy with what we've presented. So I hope that kind of, you know, makes the objectees better, that we're actually taking it very seriously. And, you know, we don't always get things right, and I'll be, you know, but what we will do is we promise from it, and we promise to work with the local community to get it right. These events aren't cheap to stage, and I don't think for a minute we're going to be walking away with a load of money. That's not going to happen. You know, this is a 2, 3, 4, 5 year process. So, you know, in order for us to start this and spend the money to deliver it, we have to get it right. And the last thing we want to do is upset the local community. I've been through this process in Southampton with an equally similar site, probably even more contentious. And, you know, I had a lot of objections at the start, and we've worked through and to the point where the council are really happy, the residents are happy. They've actually offered us a bigger site because it's, you know, and it's now an annual event on Southampton's event calendar.
Okay, I'm happy with that, Gary.
Thank you.
Victoria, did you have anything further to add to Gary's points that he's made?
No, we've pretty much put everything together. I was just conscious that if I was to lose signal being here, that Gary would take the reins with most of the talking today.
Okay. Thank you, Victoria. Right, so do members have any questions for Gary, please? Councillor Dower?
Hi, yes, I do have a couple of questions, Gary. Around the alcohol that you're going to sell, I know that there's sort of a very big range of alcohol content in some of these beers and lagers and ciders. Do you know what the maximum alcohol content of the things you'll be selling will be?
That is a very good question. We've never opted for the high content. There is, you know, some crazy stuff. I mean, if you compare it to the old days of special brew, that's something we won't do. Off the top of my head, I think it's 5.5% is the premium German beer, so it's not crazy.
Right.
It's, you know, it's relatively sensible. We will not be selling any of the crazy ones that they do. That we just don't do.
Okay, thank you. So there's no white light.
Or special brew.
The other question was around. I know you mentioned the Oompa band earlier. My question around that is, so you're going to have. I'm guessing. I can't remember from the top of my head. You're going to have a mixture of live music and recorded music. So with the Oompa band, I can just imagine that's the sound that will be emanated from that will be quite distinct. Do you have set times for when that will be performing?
We do, yes, and we can obviously give you that in advance of that. They're not quite set yet, but we will have a schedule of when they'll be on, when they're not on, etc. And because they are live, that's when the sound engineers really do their job, because obviously sound can fluctuate. But all the sound system is, you know, it has limiters on it. It's in a lock bot actually. Turn it up. What they can do is turn it down. That's the only thing they can do. So we set those levels early doors, and when we're well aware that, you know, the trombones can travel a bit further, so you know, we'll be on top of that.
Brilliant, thank you. That's my questions.
Thank you, Councillor Dower. Councillor Williams, did you have any questions for Gary at all?
Yes, I do, thank you. Will you be leafleting the local residents in advance of the event? Not everybody's going to know about this despite publicity. And if you are going to leaflet them, what sort of radius do you think you'll cover?
Yes, we will be leafleting. Well, what we do is produce a letter to all the local community in advance, which has got details, you know, explains when the events are. We actually invite all the local residents to come along as well to have a look at the event if they choose to do so. So, you know, some will, some don't. In terms of the radius, I think that's something that I probably aren't the best to comment on, given that I don't live in Poole. But Vicky, I don't know if you want to interject on that one.
Yeah, when I was walking around, we identified we'd be going out as far down towards Twemlow Avenue, down towards most of the residential homes via Whitecliff, and then supersede that with the housing that's just adjacent to the quay, and we'd go. Sorry, you have to excuse me. I can't remember what the ground is called over there by the skate park, and then obviously you've got Longfleet Road as well with the hospital, and the other side of the hospital as well. Probably go as far as the maternity unit, I would say.
Thank you, Gary. Thank you, Victoria. Councillor Williams.
Yes, the other concern I have, and I know this sounds ridiculous, but do you think that your finish time for alcohol is not a bit late? Given people will have drinking up time after the finish anyway.
Well, so I mean, so the alcohol finishing time, if you like, is 10:30, which is if you think is than the standard pub. So it's actually earlier than anywhere you could drink anywhere in the town. So an answer to your question, I'd say probably no. And if you think about it, it's not an all-day session. They're actually 2 sessions in the day, so they're limited to 5 hours. So by the time they get in, sit down, and leave, it's generally over a 4-hour time period, which is very normal. If anything, less than someone who might go to the pub and drink from 2 in the afternoon to 7, 8 in the evening.
Of course, there's always the possibility that there's going to be many, well, probably thousands of people attending during the day, and some of them may have already been to a pub before they went. Are you going to be able to control that?
Well, I think, in terms of training, that's something we're really on top of, and, we will not be, anyone that's under, is intoxicated will not be served and will be, asked to leave the site. That's normal of running I guess. So, yeah.
Preloading is the expression, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, and as we run nightclubs. I do in Southampton, and obviously we've still got one in Bournemouth, and that is one of our biggest issues, because one, we don't make any money out of it, and then we have to deal with the consequences after. So yeah, we're well versed, unfortunately, in that situation.
Thank you.
Thank you, Gary. Thank you, Councillor Williams. Gary, I did have a couple of questions. Unfortunately, Councillor Darragh stole my thunder in terms of what the percentage of live music and recorded music would be.
Well, I think we've given you that, but I would suggest it's probably about 50-50. It's probably a fair kind of ratio, if you like.
Okay, yeah. Yes, I am familiar with the umpire bands.
Would you be happy to describe it?
Yes, they're basically brass bands with horns, trombones, euphoniums, and they make a good sound. Very good sound. Right, my second question was, have you been contacted at all by any of the actors?
Obviously, yeah, we obviously received the initial objection letters, and then we sent the letter, which I think you've got in your pack, on the 25th of May.
Yes, that's correct.
We haven't received, I don't believe, any responses to that letter. Which
to your follow-up letter. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So we felt that was relatively comprehensive, but we haven't received. We were hoping that we could maybe meet with the residents and sort of go through it and but that hasn't happened, unfortunately.
Okay, thank you for that. There being no further questions from the committee. Could I now hand over to Councillor Emily Harman, who would like to read a statement on behalf of the objectors. Emily, are you there?
I'm here, David. Thanks for introducing me. So I'm speaking this morning on behalf of a resident in my capacity as a ward councillor for Parkstone. And the statement is in response to the letter sent out from Victoria, and it's regarding the paragraph on noise management. And the statement is: the noise levels in my flat when there are events in the park is loud drum sounds. My flat with the doors closed is reasonably quiet and not much road noise except for a few heavy vehicles in Parkstone Road. I went to the park last year to see what noise level was like at the dragon race, and it was bearable, but louder in my flat. I was told it may be the water that amplifies it. I think that having that level of noise for 3 days will be unbearable. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Harman. Right, the procedure, as we have no objectors with us, can I just then offer Gary and Victoria the opportunity just to sum up anything that you may have missed in your presentation that you now recall and would just like to add for the committee's
I covered everything, and and the objections are understandable, and I completely understand that. And I think from the statement that's just been made, we've already taken away one of the days effectively anyway, so it's now reduced to 2 evenings. We've done our best to mitigate all the concerns, I think. We've written to the residents. We've just received a statement which is nice, and we understand that, and we believe we've already mitigated what has been stated. There's been an event of the same nature taken place on the same site in 2019 with no issues. And our application is
okay, Gary, thank you for that.
Okay.
Your connection is breaking up a touch. So, did you wish to add anything, Victoria?
No, Gary's covered everything. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much.
I'm looking at my notes.
Okay, so I will at this point then conclude the hearing. At the end of the meeting, the subcommittee will adjourn in private with the legal advisor and the clerk to deliberate. Notification of the subcommittee's decision will be provided within the period of 5 working days, beginning with the day or the last day on which the hearing was held, in accordance with the regulations. The notification of decision will include information about the right of appeal as appropriate. Mary, did you want to just touch on the right of appeal at all?
Yes, thank you, Chair. I'll just read the relevant rights of appeal. If members decide to refuse the application or attach conditions to the licence which the applicant does not agree to, the applicant may appeal to the court within a period of 21 days, beginning with the day that the applicant is notified in writing of the decision. And if any other person does not agree to the decision made to grant the application or any of the conditions to be attached to the licence, they may also appeal to the Magistrates' Court within a period of 21 days, beginning on the day they are notified in writing of the decision. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Mary. I will now conclude the meeting and thank everyone for their attendance. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you.